Welcome back to Quick Take Charge. I'm Tim Steinovec in New York. Well, it's official. New Jersey is now the 13th state in the U.S. to legalize weed for recreational use. Governor Phil Murphy on Monday signed bills into law aimed at legalizing and regulating the use of recreational marijuana in the state. Joining us now on the phone to discuss is Bloomberg's Tiffany Kary, who covers the cannabis market. Hey, Tiffany. First of all, this was being worked on for so long. What took New Jersey so long to get this done?
Well, look, it takes any state a long time to get something this complicated done. But I think in New Jersey, there was a real back and forth about, social justice and criminal justice issues. And I believe, the last sort of holdup was what to do about legal penalties for people under 21. There's some concern, I guess, that if you penalize possession the wrong way, even once it's legalized, you can have minority communities disproportionately affected, as they have been in the past.
So what happens now in New Jersey when it comes to the recreational use of marijuana? Are dispensaries going to be popping up next week?
No, it's going to take a while to get this moving and get it implemented. I think the estimate is about a year even.
I wonder what this means for surrounding states that have had their own contentious relationship with legalizing recreational marijuana. New York City, where I am, for example, in New York State. What does this mean for legalization here in New York? I was talking to somebody earlier today who said, oh, well, I guess all the New Yorkers are just going to be driving into New Jersey if they want recreational marijuana.
That's right. That's a really important point. People have talked for a really long time about this sort of domino effect that they might expect in the Northeast if one state, especially a big one such as New Jersey, were to legalize, because you don't want people crossing state lines, particularly in a COVID year. You don't want that tax revenue flowing out from your state. You don't want just the pure interstate traffic. So you look at New Jersey, it's not only bordering New York, which is a huge state, but Pennsylvania, and there are all those states just in the block of the Northeast. So people have said, look, all it takes is one of those states, and I think now we have it, New Jersey, and the others will follow suit, like Connecticut, and Pennsylvania is a very big state too.
What does this mean for legalization on the federal level? As I mentioned, New Jersey becoming the 13th state to legalize recreational use. There are even more states where you can get marijuana for medicinal purposes. Are we closer to the point where the federal government just says, hey, enough is enough. This is a legal substance in all of the U.S.?
I think probably population-wise, the federal government is already at that point. There are just so many states where it is legal. And with the Biden administration coming in, with the Democratic Senate, there's so much more anticipation that something will happen this year. But I think there's still a fair amount of fogginess. We don't know exactly what that will be or what the timeline will be.
Can you talk a little bit about the studies that have been done about what legalization does to access for underage people, for kids, when it comes to marijuana?
Yeah, there's a real balancing act that has to go on here. And I think there's been some, mixed news over the years about youth use increasing once you have recreational use legalized. It's just that the product is simply more available, right? So there was a study in California that came out the other week that said respondents were 23% more likely to have used marijuana in the last 30 days once it was recreational legalized, which happened there in 2016. And interestingly, it was happening even more to young people, the seventh graders, which is so young, and people who had traditionally not used marijuana as much, like women. So you can see in New Jersey there was a real balancing act to go on there, looking at what would happen for youth penalties and weighing that against criminal justice issues. And I think all states, and certainly the federal government, is going to look at these issues too.
What about when it comes to economic benefits for a state that has recreational marijuana for sale and taxes that recreational marijuana? How much money can the state actually add to its coffers?
Quite a bit. New York is estimating $300 million. Some people say that's actually very conservative. The question is, I think, as the states weigh this, is where does that money go? It's a COVID year. There are a lot of budget shortfalls. But the industry certainly wants to put a lot of that money towards social justice programs, and many states do as well, too. So that's going to be one of the things that actually holds some of these programs up, I think, is figuring that all out.
Bloomberg News reporter Tiffany Kary. Hey, Tiffany, it's always great when you join us. Thanks so much for taking the time this morning. We appreciate it.